Welcome to the BEASTwriter Family, where social media engagement is encouraged. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we have the honor and privilege of talking to my main man, good friend, Andre Carter, 13-year NFL veteran. You guys know who he is, a one-time Pro Bowl player, 2001 first-round pick, drafted number 7 overall by the great Bill Walsh. He then went on to coach for the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Jets, and now at LSU. My man, Andre Carter. How are you doing today, my man?
Good, bro. I always have you. It's always a pleasure you having me on here, man. It's just a long time no talk. Actually, we talk more on the phone, but this is my first time seeing your ugly mug live, so it's always a good thing, man.
So, what is going on with you, man? What's up with you these days? Obviously, we were going to talk some NFL draft process some things that you went through. But let's go ahead and talk about your Bay Area ties here in the Bay Area. Obviously, you went to Oak Grove High School. You then went on to Berkeley and played for them and was a 2-time All-American, one of the best. I think you were named the Morris Trophy Award for the top defensive player.
Yes, that was the honor. Yes, my senior year.
Okay. And then you went on to play and be drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. So that is 3 layers there that we're talking about where it's just Bay Area ties. What do you miss most about the Bay Area now that you're in LSU?
You know, I think it's just I moved to the Bay in '95, and let you know how old I am. But you know, the Bay aesthetically, there was just a certain culture, from the style, the fashion, the swag, and then me, being out at the time, my dad was coaching in Miami, so when I moved from Miami to Cali, I'm thinking, especially San Jose, I'm like, I don't know what was in store. It was like a rude awakening. But when I heard, San Jose was one of the most largest cities in the U.S., and then just from a sports standpoint, there's a lot of great athletes that came there. It was just a perfect fit for me. And then just being there at Oak Grove for 2 years, and the history behind that, the history of winning championships and a lot of good talents, proceeded from there. And then the opportunity to go to Berkeley. And the reason why I went to Berkeley was, one, definitely education, but then, Bay Area, DMs, like Reagan Upshaw, Dwayne Clemens, they were actually my influence, because at the time, Cal was playing San Jose State, and my dad was a D-line coach at San Jose State, and I just remember seeing 2 raw ends come off the corner, and I was like, oh, man, they built like me. I'm like, okay. And so it was just, it was like predestined, because once I came in, they were gone. But it was just a fit for me, and so that culture, the Bay Area culture, Berkeley in general, and the history behind that. Obviously everybody knows the hippie movement, but then you go outside of Berkeley, you have Oakland, and that's a whole different culture. So I embraced a lot, and then it was such a blessing to basically be a hometown player, to playing in high school, playing college in the Bay, and then all I gotta do is all I gotta do is pack my car and drive, 40 minutes south back to Santa Clara, damn near close to San Jose. I was like, this can't be real, but I was so fortunate, and those are the things that you remember.
See, you're very humble. You've always been that way. Ever since I met you, how hard is it to stay grounded, being a legacy, being a top 10 draft pick, hand selected by the great Bill Walsh to be the next, great edge rusher?
Yeah.
The team actually traded up with the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken, right? From 9 to 7. And then the Seattle Seahawks gave up the Niners gave up a 3rd-round pick to go ahead and grab you. Right. And then the Seahawks grabbed Corin Robinson.
Yes.
So if I remember correctly, now take me back and walk me through the draft process. A lot of times we see a lot of things that are going on that is being heard in the NFL media. Obviously, I'm in the NFL media, but from a player's perspective, how hard is it for you as a player to maintain tunnel vision of your end goal when you have all these outside distractions? You have agents telling you one thing, then you have these teams telling you another. How do you maintain focus and remain humble throughout the whole process?
My 7th grade is obviously my dad. My dad ended up playing 12 years in the league, and then obviously coached and been around ball. So going through the process, he was my saving grace. And one thing we had talked to discuss, he said, control what you can control. You can't really control what team's going to, draft you. You just got to be ready for the team that drafts you. So Coming into the draft, I mean, I heard different things from possibly, I know 49ers was one. Chicago Bears was actually where I was, might have been drafted by the 49ers because Greg Blige, who ended up being my defensive line coach, who was the defensive coordinator at the time, was in Chicago. So
Oh,
they're waiting for me. Another possibility, that was floating around was maybe New England Patriots and then Denver Broncos. And Denver Broncos, I think, was probably number 15, 16, or 17. And so, for me, because my dad played the Broncos, I'm like, oh, that'd be
yeah.
awesome, playing for being back in my hometown. So,
Yeah.
those teams were up in the air. But I tell you what, the night before the draft, I mean, I could not sleep. I could not sleep. I was just tossing and turning. I'm like, you just want to be over. Like, let me find out what team I'm gonna be drafted. And lo and behold, once the 49ers made that transaction, and I saw my name pop up, and then they showed the old Cowboy highlights. I'm like, oh shoot, all right, this is really happening. But then I'm like, man, I'm actually back in my home. I'm home. Like I don't have to move. I don't have to leave. I'm home. So it was great. And obviously, rest in peace. Bill Walsh being one of the last players to be drafted. It was, definitely the top three guys. It was me, Jamie Winborn, who I still keep in touch with,
Ooh.
and then Kevin Barlow. For us to be, first, second, third round picks under the Bill Walsh. I mean, that was an honor. And then for us, it was just for me playing, 10 plus years, and then Jamie playing 10 plus years. Obviously, Bill Walsh, saw something in us, maybe more so than what we saw. We were just young kids being happy to be drafted and fulfilling our dreams. But Bill Walsh's vision, especially putting together a team, especially this last year, it was definitely an honor. So every time the draft begins, I always think about Bill Walsh and my picture with him and what he meant to me and the vision that he that he had in store for me and believed in me. So that stuff will never go tarnished.
That's great that you mentioned Bill Walsh. And again, a lot of the Niner fans want. I feel like Bill Walsh will never leave our hearts. He's always a
No,
part of us. But hearing stories like yours, it really resonates with the 49ers faithful. Like, what's the one thing? Like, here's something, Dre. I didn't want to show you this,
oh
but
no, you're good.
here is a plaque of Bill Walsh. It's in my room right here. So even for me, right? Like Bill Walsh is such an inspiration to all of us.
Yes.
And you didn't see that one coming, did you?
There you go. No.
But my question to you is, with all that being said, what's the one thing that you took from Bill Walsh that you can take to your grave and say, you know what, that's something that Bill Walsh would say, or that's something that Bill Walsh would do? What's something that maybe not a lot of people know about when it comes to Bill Walsh?
Well, despite the fact that, and it wasn't so much what he said, but it was just his actions. His actions spoke more value than as opposed to his words. And I actually read his book, years ago, as far as when it just comes to the dynamics of an organization, the winning mindsets of an organization. And one thing I just learned from him is especially when it comes to coaches, is having a team and the one of the foundations of building a team. The dynamics, the continuity. I love what you always say: never hire the smartest person in the room, because those are the guys that will end up building down. It's just those things that always resonates with you, as far as being a great coach. But from a player standpoint, obviously, you talk about great work ethic, always playing with an edge, being critical of yourself, pinpointing the problems before the coach pinpoints the problem. Those make you a dynamic player, and I learned from that. And obviously, I've had great coaches throughout the course of my career, and my father, definitely helped me out. But my father, we always had that father-son relationship. When I asked a question, he answered, but then we're like, okay, we're good now. All right. But during the course of my career, high school, collegiate, and pro, I was very fortunate to have great coaches under the tutelage to help me be more of an efficient player. And Bill Walsh, I was very thankful. He wasn't definitely a coach, but his presence resonated within the 49ers institution.
Right. Great story and great words. I think now all of us have a better understanding of who Bill Walsh is, because all we do, honestly, if we haven't had the opportunity to meet Bill Walsh, we can't really understand the true meaning behind what he meant to not only the 49ers organization, but just life in general. You know what I mean? Like the way he conducted life.
Yes.
It is a I mean, being a perfectionist, right? In every sense of the word.
No doubt.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's something we all strive for perfection, but at the end of the day, no one's perfect. But that's what made Bill Walsh great.
Yes.
It's because he strived for perfection and
Always.
no excuses.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever.
So let's talk about, okay, we're going to go back in the past. We're going to stay on the 2001 NFL draft. You touched base on some teams that were interested in you. I'm looking at the 2001 NFL draft board. Justin Smith, who obviously played for the 49ers years later, was drafted number 4 by the Cincinnati Bengals. Were they looking at you?
You know, shout out to the Cowboys. I know that Cowboy. I miss Cowboy. Me and Cowboy go back a ways because we had kind of like the same accolades in college. You know, it was, I think, for a little bit. But that, if you recall, I mean, that our draft class in 01, it was a heavy D-line draft class. I know it was Justin Smith, Richard Seymour, Gerard Warren, myself. You know, there was a few other guys, but I think I want to say like the first top 20 picks, it was a heavy D-line that year. And most of the guys, you know, Richard Seymour, I think I mentioned, and like I said, most of these guys that played ended up playing 10 years, you know, so it was just that was freak, you know, talking about freaks of nature to you know, to play that long and have a lot of toll on your body, but we did it.
So I'm going to name some names just to refresh your memory, all right? So you had Jared Warren drafted number 3 by the Cleveland Browns. Number 4, you had Cincinnati Bengals taking Justin Smith.
Yep.
Out of Missouri. Okay. At number 6, New England Patriots took Richard Seymour.
Yep, exactly.
Out of Georgia.
Yep.
The Niners took you.
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy. 4 defensive linemen within the first 7 picks of the draft.
I know. And end up playing long.
We're not done yet.
A long time.
Look, Green Bay Packers took Jamal Reynolds out of Florida State.
Yep. And Jamal was a top, you know, DN at the time coming out of college.
He was.
I remember that.
And then you had St. Louis Rams at the time taking Damian Lewis out of Miami.
Yes. Who I ended up which is funny because Damian Lewis was my host when I was being recruited by University of Miami.
What?
Yes, and so now he's coaching at the Seahawks now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's right.
Small world, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, small world.
Marcus Stroud was drafted number 13 overall.
Oh yeah.
Out of Georgia.
I know. And that's something. I said a lot of big names that year. A lot.
Casey Hampton, number 19 by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
It goes on and on and on.
Look how many years he played, and you know, Super Bowls he won, and had a great career. Go Casey. Yep.
So yeah, you're not lying. It was a stacked class, and I don't think we've ever seen a stacked defensive line class like the one in 2001 since.
I haven't. I recall. You know, you look at it, and you know, you just kind of, you know, it's worth the Google every now and then. And you just kind of see. Can't see if any defensive lineman of that magnitude end up being drafted, and I can't really recall. It was a special year.
Okay, so you played for the Niners from 2001 to 2005.
Yes.
Right? Do you remember the 2000 NFL draft class, the year before you were drafted? You had 4 picks, or the team had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds.
Yes.
They had John Engelberger.
Yes.
Jason Webster, one of my fan favorites. I love Jason Webster coming out of Texas A&M. And then you guys got Ahmed Plummer and Julian Peterson and yourself.
Yes.
In your mind at that time, with 5 high-round picks, okay, and you're coming in as a rookie, did you feel like you guys were a team on the rise? Because remember, the team also had Jeff Ulbrich years later in that same draft class, I think in the 3rd round. So you had a plethora of young, talented players. Ultimately, my question to you is, how come you guys never panned out and was a solidified top 10 defense? Because the talent on the field can't be denied. And you bring up Jamie Winborn, who was by far one of my favorite players growing up.
Yes.
We talked about this, and it's weird because if anybody who watches the New York Giants game, he had 13 tackles. He had like so many tackles for loss. I think he even had a sack or something.
He was balling. He was all over the place.
And then he was benched the following week.
I know. That was the year. That was in I think that was in 05 when he got traded. And obviously when that happened, you knew that was going to be traded. To this day, no one really knows, the why, the rhyme, the reason. It was just that was a tumultuous year for us, unfortunately. Because there was so many changes, and then when I understand we were close, and I want to say we were Super Bowl bound, but we were close because the first year we were in the playoffs, and obviously we lost to Green Bay, and that was in 2001. Then the second year we had the wild card, and that was the game we came back with against the Giants. And then obviously we had Tampa. Now I tell you, Tampa, they were rested, and I'm like, oh shoot. They had Mike Scott and all them dudes, and then Warren Sapp, and I was like, oh, these boys, they ready to roll,
Yeah.
But you're thinking, okay, next year will be the year. 03 will be the year. Well, with all the changes being made, especially with Bill Walsh was kind of, it is what it is. Kind of he moved forward. Mariucci got dismissed. Majority of the coaching staff got dismissed. And then obviously you see a bunch of the roster moves where all the vets that we relied on that could still play, obviously, whether it's from it could be upstairs management, and it happens. Hey, we're going to move on. We got older players out with the old and with the new. Well, now, and then with the changes in the coaching staff, because those last the 3 years that I was there, 2003, 2004, and 2005, obviously we had Dennis Erickson in those 2 years where we were
That was bad. I'll say it. It was horrible.
we were 4-12, and the next year we were 2-14.
Yeah.
And then Mike Nolan. And so when you continue to have changes be created on a consistent basis, it's hard to create continuity. I don't care how good you are as a coach. I don't care how great you are at what players you have. You got to have continuity. And granted, like I said, I never compare a team like New England or Pittsburgh, but New England's New England because they have a system. And obviously, yes, Bill Walsh. I mean, not Bill Walsh. I'm sorry. I'm comparing Bill Walsh. Sorry. Is Bill Belichick. He's been there. But then you look at the coaching staff in general, the coaches that I've have met, been around 10 to 12 plus years. There's not much turnover. And so that being said, it's like everybody knows how everybody works. There's a system. Same with Pittsburgh Steelers. It's same as. But then when you see the elite teams now, that's coming up like Kansas City. Yeah, granted, Kansas City, lost in the last Super Bowl. However, most of their roster was the same. Now there's always going to be a little bit of changes, but from a continuity standpoint, I said that everything starts from top, from management, the coaches, the players. It's a continuous cycle. So one thing I learned, especially as a former player and as a coach, it was just a continuous repeat of just change in dynamics, change in philosophy. So when that happens, there's no structure, and it's not ill will. It's just that's just kind of what happens.
Let's peel back another layer of that onion. So you talk about different schematics, different viewpoints. It also comes down. Let's mainly talk about the defensive line. Let's talk about the defensive front seven. Take the linebackers, how people read their keys, how players read their keys pre-snap, what to look for, how they leverage their splits along the defensive line. When we talk about these things, certain coaches have it's my way or the highway, and they don't like players delving outside of the box, even if they have a great instinct before the play is about to happen.
Right.
Is that something that kind of irks some of these players? Because some of these players, I mean, they don't know the play that's coming, but they have a gut feeling that the play is going their direction. So they'll kind of venture off, kind of go rogue on their own, but they'll make the play. For you, how is it? Because you're so fundamentally sound and very coachable. I would say you were probably underutilized a lot of times as a pass rusher because I hate to say it, but you have a very strong supporting cast during the time in San Francisco.
Right.
You would have been able to have double-digit sacks year in and year out.
Yeah, and I say this, it's funny because people have kind of barked in my career and said, man, you had 80 sacks. I'm like, yeah, but there's not a day goes by where I think about the other 20. And I reflected on, what would I've done differently? Some of it, and I take full responsibility. Some of it's just more me, and maybe it was more like, what, I wish I would have took more chances of the up and under. The times where there was a continuous change in scheme, and like I said, it was like I studied when it came to, for me being a student of the game. I think I was more focused on knowing my assignments, but then going outside the box and say, okay, these are my assignments. Okay, now what can I do to utilize the scheme to help me be more productive for the team? Because I knew my talents, I knew my skills, but because I was such a professional, which wasn't a bad thing, you kind of wish you just kind of had more. I wish I had more of an edge to where, okay, I know this is happening. Now I can maybe take a little chance here and there, but still be in position to make plays. Not necessarily go rogue, but that's kind of, you look at the kind of the elite pass rushers. That's just what they did, because at the end of the day, they knew who they were. Right. When I had gone through so many schemes, like I said, throughout the course of my career, I want to say 13 years, I think I had 8 coordinators, and then, or 9 coordinators, and then, 9 position coaches. It is like, so I have 9 and 8 coordinators, 9 position coaches tell me different things. But on set HUT, I just knew I had to go that way. And so I always told my, and we'll definitely get into coaching, I always told my players this. I said, guys, you play defensive line. It ain't that hard. On set HUT, is hit the dude in the mouth with the technique I'm teaching you. Like, but like I said, there's going to be the elite ones that be like, I know who I am. And there's the ones that are not elite. They're still trying to discover who they am, who they are. And so it's my job to help them discover who they are. So when it's all said and done, they're like, okay, this is me, and this is my identity. And so for me, the years that I was elite, I was like, hey, I knew I was. Yeah. The years I wasn't elite, then I had years I just, it just didn't work out. I played hard. It's just, it wasn't in the card. Right. I probably had 1 or 2 years where it was just a rough year, and it just happens. But it's kind of like this. When you're hot, it's like Steph Curry. When you're hot, you're hot. And Steph freaking balling right now.
But you're being humble, because I watched you, like I said, I had front row season tickets. I saw you during pregame, even before we were friends, when I was in high school watching you with my dad. Yeah. You were working. You were the first one in, the last one out. How do I know that? Because I was the first one in Candlestick, and I was watching you working with George Chung on technique.
George Chung. Yeah, good old George Chung. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah.
So you're being modest right now, Andre. I know for a fact you would have had well over 100 sacks.
Right. Wasn't like a trying. It was just, hey, it was one.
But this is the problem that I think you had. I'm going to tell you straight up. I think you put the team first, which is a good thing.
Which I did. Yeah. Which I did.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no doubt.
So you sacrifice your own goals for the betterment of the team. Right. Because at the end of the day, if you were to go off and get what's called quarterback pressures these days, that result in maybe a loss of down, well, then if you don't get there, then you're leaving your linebackers out to dry, because there's no one to help with the outside containment. Correct?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. So you should not be upset about the way you were playing, because when I played, that's exactly the way I played too. Because again, if you're going to be coachable, you have to do what the coach tells you to do. Otherwise, you're just a me type of person. I don't care about you. I want to get mine. I want to get mine. In today's day and age, it goes back to your coaching style. You're now a coach at LSU. Right. To transition from the NFL to the college game, is that something you have to teach these young kids nowadays with the age of information? And we're kind of transitioning here, but talking about your coaching style, what is your coaching style to some of these new kids that are coming up, hoping to be one day as good as you, making it in the NFL?
Well, when I yell, it's more of a passion for them to succeed. I don't yell just to yell. And that was something I learned from great coaches. And the times I'm angry, especially more angry as a collective, because I don't want them to fail,
Yeah.
because I always told my players this: if they fail, I fail. And it's not like you failed. Well, shame on you because I know I did everything. No, you, you fail, I fail, because it's like anything that happens to them is a report reflection on me. It comes hand in hand. So I take full responsibility of my players' success and failures. And actually, I take that back. When it comes to their success, I don't take credit because that's who you are. When you fail, I take responsibility. Why? Because I didn't coach my individuals hard enough to succeed. So, because I say this, I don't take credit for. I've told my players this. I said I don't take credit for the talent that you were blessed with. That's like me playing God. I ain't God. I don't. I ain't. Sprinkle and something like that. So, but at the same time, I was like, I'm trying to help discover who my players are, and it goes deeper than that. It's not just being on the field; it's off the field, because obviously being a collegiate coach is more of a responsibility. You're a coach, you're a mentor. I told my players, like, look, I'll be 42, so I can't be a dad. I'll be like the crazy uncle. Right now, maybe 10 years from now, then I'll be more like a father figure. But you try to be the male influence in your players' lives, because that's important, and to lead by example, to have positivity in your life, to set goals and set priorities.
And I will say this again: you're being humble. You're so, and that's a good thing. But I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a pat on the back. What people don't realize, people who are in the BEASTwriter family, is Andre cares more about the individual off the field than he does on it.
Yeah.
You truly care about the players, bro.
I do. I do, because I said, my experiences, especially when I started coaching, I started coming more hours. When you're assistant D-line coach, you kind of, hey, I'm just, people that I worked under, because I was fortunate to work with Terrell Williams, who's the D-line coach with the Tennessee Titans, who was a great mentor for me, and who I actually played for with the Oakland Raiders. And then obviously I worked under Chris Kosaric. And so as assistant D-line coach, it's like, hey, I'm just doing what you need me to do. But then when you're actually the D-line coach for the Jets, now it's like, now you're able to create your own style. But for me, I was very fortunate. I had most of my players were 4 or 5 year guys, 2 to 5 year guys. The only player I had on the team I was a vet was Steve McClendon, who ended up, we traded, and that's a long story, but he ended up winning a Super Bowl. But one thing I loved about Steve McClendon was he really did buy into what I was trying to say and coach, but also he understood the philosophies and principles of just being a man and being a pro player. And what that did was he allowed me to coach him, and then the other players followed. So that was an honor by him, and to this day I still talk to McClendon. He's going. I told him, if you ever want to be a coach, holler at me, because he's one of those type of dudes that he's got it in him. And yeah.
So that's one of the things I saw in you, is like, I obviously, because you're a student of the game, you're a legacy, you're very smart. You can tell by you're fundamentally sound. That's the one thing that.
Yeah. But that's football. That's D-line in general. You got to have fundamentals.
You have to. But
yes,
Dre, you know this. There's a lot of players who aren't fundamentally sound.
No,
they play with a high pad level.
Yes.
They get out leveraged at the point of the attack. You tell them one thing, then they get out leveraged, cross face the other way. And that's why people are like, oh, well, what happened to gap containment? Well, the guy doesn't sink his hip.
Step underneath themselves. Poor hand placement. You name it. Lack leverage, extension. Can't get rid of the block, shed. Whatever, those that make a lead to salami.
Exactly.
So you get it. You've been around it.
Yeah. People are like, did you play? I'm like, no, but I know football.
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Brian King has a question for you, Dre. He says, who's your favorite player that you were honored to have played with as a 49er?
Brian Young.
Why?
Brian Young.
Why?
He showed me what it took to be just a pro in the league. And obviously, I didn't have a family at the time, but me going into my rookie year. I know that was going into the 7th year. He had a family, he had a wife and kids, and so he was structured. He was like, look, I go to work and do my thing and watch film, and then he takes the helmet off, and now he's a family guy. So I was able to learn a lot from that. But I remember one conversation I had with him, when I ended up leaving 49ers, and I asked him, say, hey man, I said I'm really trying to just prolong my career and just do the right things. And one thing he said was, you're gonna be all right, Dre. And that conversation always resonates with me, and I always appreciate that. And I end up fortunate playing 13 of them. Of course, he'll brag and say he played like 14 or 15. I was like, yeah, sneaking one in there, didn't you, huh? And so, but no, Brian Young was by far one of the best teammates. His passion, his desire, his love for the game. It was magnetic, and it magnified, the locker room, and magnified the field. And I was honored to play with him. It was a great experience.
All right. For as Ultimate Report says, was it tough decision to leave the San Francisco 49ers?
It was obviously, when it comes to free agency, you have to capitalize on the opportunity, and it's kind of like when you're hot, you're hot. They always say, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And it wasn't, trust me, it was not lack of trying, because I wanted to, but if apples weigh more than oranges, well, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that scene from Friday After Next. Like, hey, I love the neighborhood. I do everything for the neighborhood. But as soon as I got my check, I was gone.
Yep.
Right? So
it
was like, hey man, like, hey bro, like, but you know what? All jokes aside, like I really didn't want to leave. I mean, like I said, the Bay Area, like I said, is home. It's always still home. And to this day, I still have people laugh at me, because I'm all over the place. I was after leaving 49ers, I was in New England, Washington Redskins. I also did the Oakland thing for a while, but then now as a coach, I was in Miami, coaching for the Jets. Now I'm at LSU. I still got a 408 phone number. Because that was just it resonated with me, because that's where just my football career started. I mean, 16, 17-year-old kid, coming into the Bay Area, did an interview with Sports Focus. I was nervous as heck. That's just with I think Robert Bronstein at the time. Shout out to Robert if he's over here. Those memories are good. I mean, 408 is just, it's always going to be, it's not trying to sound cliche. It's always still going to be special to me.
Yeah.
Those memories.
You used to always be in Santana Row too. I remember seeing you before we were friends. I saw you in Santana Row.
Sino, man. Sino was my food spot.
Yeah, it was Sino.
That was my food spot.
That was your spot, dude.
I love Sino.
Outside dining, bro. Outside dining too.
And Straits was still there. Sino and Straits. And there was another pizza spot. There was a pizza spot thing too. That was
Pizza Antica, bro.
Yeah, Pizza Antica. That was my spot.
Yeah.
So I had my go-to. I had my 3 go-to.
Yeah,
and
man.
just chill and relaxing. So yeah. Just fun times. Those some fun times. Then Pinkberry was my spot too when that Pinkberry was.
Oh yeah, that's right, Pinkberry. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's there anymore. It got hot for a minute and then it just kind of died down. So, but those some good spots there.
Oh, for sure. All right, what's your favorite Steve Mariucci story? Do you have one?
Oh my goodness.
Pick one or pick a few.
What do I think about Steve Mariucci? Steve. There's so many stories to tell about Steve. Steve. I just tell you this about Coach Mariucci. He is by far one of the most charismatic coaches I've ever played for, and he never had a bad day. I mean, he was always smiling, happy-go-lucky. I think what was fortunate with Coach Mariucci and the whole staff is we were a vet team, and as a vet team, it's like I can't say we because I wasn't a vet. I was a young guy. The vets policed the young players, and it was just like, look, this is how we're gonna do things, and if you mess it up, there's gonna be problems. And we're like, hey, we ain't trying to mess it up. We're all in it for you.
Yeah.
But I remember Mooch had this, this like 12 12 player, council, and it was just vets. And it was a structure to where, hey, how y'all feeling this week? Coach, we're banged up. Can we do XYZ for practice? Yeah. But if you mess it up, I'm going back to this. Hey, no problem. And we didn't mess it up. And we were winning. Like I said, my first rookie season, we were 10-6. And then the second season, we were 12-4. We were winning. But it was a good structure. And I enjoyed every moment with Coach Mariucci. And it was funny too, because the reason why I went to Cal was because of Coach Mariucci. But then he ended up dipping out. I'm like, come on, Coach, like, come on.
That's right.
And then my dad's like, well, are you going for the coach? Or are you going for the school? I'm like, I'm kind of going for the coach, but I guess I gotta go to the school. But but I end up staying at Cal. But now I really enjoyed him. He never had a bad day. There was never a dull moment. He always was smiling. And just very positive, very positive. And I knew that was him too. But then obviously, with Bill Walsh kind of being in the building, I'm not sure if that kind of feeding off that energy as well. But I just remember him being that type of person, especially during the recruiting process at Cal. He was always consistent.
Always consistent. That's always good. Being consistent, I think, is very important, especially when you're dealing with professional athletes, because at the end of the day, if you're not consistent in your ways, then you're going to lose that locker room.
That's it. Exactly. And you can't lose the locker room. You always want players to play for you. And we I tell you what, we played for them. Yeah. We played for them. And it was just good. Overall, it was just good energy all around, day in and day out. You enjoy going to work.
Hearing stuff like that, I'm sure Mooch would love to hear. Do you still talk to Mooch at all, or not so much anymore?
I have not talked to him in ages. I remember, I think the last time I saw him, I think when I was a former player and I was doing a night game, and I gave him a big hug. So
you should reach out to him. I think he'd want that.
Yeah, it'd be great to see him. But
Mooch is always a good guy. Yeah, Mooch is a good guy.
He is.
It was sad because I know some other players that I spoke with on that team. Well, it comes from you're not going to say it. I'm going to say it. So anyways, there's stories. I'm not going to go back in details, but when Terry Donahue took over, he drove that team to the ground.
Yeah.
And the veterans will say that. You weren't a veteran at the time, but you saw it. Yeah. Don't say anything. Yeah. I'm just speaking from what I'm hearing from other players who played, and they were Pro Bowl players. Yeah. Legit, Terry Donahue screwed up that team. In fact, there's some people in that locker room. I'm not going to name players, but again, there's one player who said if Terry Donahue wasn't the GM of the San Francisco 49ers and they kept Mariucci, you guys actually thought you would actually have a Super Bowl run.
I thought we were close. We were close. We were close. Well, I mentioned that. I said we were close. It was just, hey, que sera.
Yeah, I heard Terry Donahue would not even be in the building. Like he would be off playing golf or something.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right. So good Steve Mariucci story. You also played for Coach Bill Belichick, who was also the GM of the New England Patriots. Do you have any good Bill Belichick stories that you want to share with us?
I did. But I tell you what, he's by far like the most, like he is witty. Like he's got that dry sense of humor. And so it's just like he'll crack a joke, but then we'll start laughing, like ha, 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 and then just kind of go on the next. So it's just I'm like, is he laughing? But I tell you what, now every coach has a certain style, a certain personality. Now that coach right there, I tell you what, talk about hands on with everything. I mean, you would, we just say as being a D-line coach there, we would have a meeting. I was with Patrick Graham at the time, who's now the defense coordinator for the Giants. But the one thing about Belichick is like he will basically go, depending on the day. I think probably end up going to every position meeting room.
Are you serious?
He was Mr. Football. He knows football. Like he knows football. So we would just have a meeting, and then the room would kind of get quiet, and Belichick would come in like, all right, so this is what the old lineman does. All right, Carter, you need to do this. I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. You want me to do? Yes. So when you rush against this dude, this, and this. Oh shoot! All right, and against guards, all right, they block like this. We need to tackle them like this against this tackle. I'm like, hot damn! I said, so I never been around a coach like that. But I remember one time in a game, we're playing against the Chargers, and I forgot who I was playing against. But I'm trying to do a pass rush move, and it was, hey, it's hit or miss. I was like, shoot, I probably should have did that move. And so we go on the sideline, and Bill's like, all right, Carter, hey, I told you, don't make sure you do this move. I'm like, you saw that? Like, dang. He's like, hey, when I tell you, Carter, this is what we need to do. I'm like, oh man, this dude, he's like the damn oracle, like of the Matrix. He see everything.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, but he just, I respected him. I respected him because he really understood football, and there was people always say, there's a method to his madness, and he's not a madman. He's smart. He's cerebral. He just gets football and very strategic. And it's like being in the military. Hey, it's like I'm showing you this hand, but at the end of the day, I'm using this hand. I'm trying to get you to, and so he just knew how to set opponents up, from maybe a special team standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, an offensive standpoint. And that's why he had been successful. From the roster moves that he made, in years, it was just like, I just need this player. It's kind of like, you knew he needed a certain player for a certain piece.
Right.
And it may not have been for years, but he knew I need this player. This one will get out of him. And so my time there, when I got signed, I was just honored to be there, because he knew who I was. And the year before, unfortunately, I had an off year. We had changed our scheme from a 4-3 to a 3-4. And when I got released by the Redskins, Patriots had called me, and I called, talked to Belichick and say, hey, what do you want? Well, are you in a 3-4, 4-3? You say, we're a 4-3. I said, all right, coach. I said, hey, I just want to get the opportunity to play ball, and hopefully start. And I'm not I'm talking like as if I'm a kid, from high school.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't the best thing, but I understand I was just on edge because I wanted to show, I knew who I was, and it was one of those years where it just didn't work out right. But in the end, he just allowed me to be myself and Andre Carter. And I think by far it was just the best statistic, just best in everything. The run game, it was just, and obviously I was playing with the edge, but being there, and one, I just wanted to win. And I remember my good teammate, we were Gerard Mayo. We were playing a preseason game, and he's like, "Hey man, you ready to win?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah man, I'm ready to win." He's like, "No, you ready to win?" I'm like, "Oh shoot, oh yeah, I'm ready." Because I wasn't accustomed to that. I just, just the seasons that I've had throughout the course of my career, it was I lost more games than won. And so he was like, "Get ready to win." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I know." He's like, "No, get ready to win." And it was fun, and the atmosphere, playing in Foxborough, and the people I befriended, who I still talk to from time to time to this day. I fortunately was playing long enough for my son to remember. They'll always stay with me. It was fun. It was a fun time playing.
What's the difference in their coaching styles? Obviously, you said Mariucci allowed the veterans to lead that locker room.
Right.
With Bill Belichick, was it the same dynamic, or was it a little bit different? How was it from the New England Patriots standard of doing things, do your job kind of a mentality, as opposed to Mariucci's?
Two different styles. Like I said, obviously with Mariucci, he had the vet, the kind of, I want to say the vets ran it, but it was very vet influenced from, okay, this is what the vets would like. Okay, so from a structure standpoint, like coaches will still create the structure, but more in the parameters of what the vets need. All right, so if it's more individual, there's more individuals. Less individual and more team, that's what it was. Obviously with Bill Belichick, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. And it was more The emphasis was run game, and it's going to be based on the philosophy, the styles of how we're going to attack the run game from different variations of fronts, coverages. Hey, repeat it, not good enough. And so it was locked into a T. My first year there, I mean, really, I was so locked in. It felt like I was in a game, and I practiced. I remember as a player, I came out. I always had that mentality like I'm practicing if I'm playing.
Right.
But now there is like, oh shoot, I'm in a game mode. Like this is like it was like from steps to the steps to assignments to everything. It was to a T. It was just straight shooting, straight narrow. But I was going to my 11th year, so I was very mature already, just knowing what I had to do. I was a man, I had my family, and I was like, hey, let's go rock and roll. This is what it is. Let's operate this way. And then, but at the same time, we were at the time of actually in 2011, we were a bad team. I mean, I had, I was playing with Gerard Warren, Sean Ellis.
Sean Ellis,
yeah,
man, he was
Sean
a first-round pick.
Yeah, Sean Ellis came on board. Who actually my dad coached him with the Jets, so it was good seeing him. Vince Wilfork, obviously Mayo, Brandon Spikes, Patrick Chung.
Patrick,
we had some we had some good dudes, real good dudes on the team, real good dudes, and so but we were a little bit older, but not that old. But it was a great squad, real good squad.
So question, it was a good squad, the New England Patriots. Now you're taking it back, man. Patrick Chung, and he just retired, right?
Yeah, he hung it up. Yeah, he hung it up.
That's crazy, man. So yeah, Vince Wilfork,
yeah,
Sean Ellis. Yeah, he was a first-round pick. I believe he was a first-round pick with Jonathan Abraham, right? Out of South Carolina, right?
Yep.
And that's the same draft that they had 4 first-round picks with Anthony Becht and Chad Pennington, correct?
Yeah, yep, all those boys.
Dang, going back. All right, we have a question from CJ Ruthless Sports. What was it like having T.O. as a teammate? Was he ever fun to be around or a headache? Obviously, we're not. Well, you can say how you want, whatever you want.
You know what? I was young at the time, so for me, I just thought T.O. was just a competitor. I mean, he came out there. Obviously, built and yoked up, and he took care of his body, and he was a competitor. I never looked at like looking back. I never thought it was a headache, but at the same time, for me, I was just like I had blinders on. I'm like I'm just focused on my job, So, but I never had the opportunity to really know him personally. Just he was my teammate, and I just knew at the end of the day he's gonna make plays for us.
All right, Forrest Ultimate Report says, Beast, how long have you been friends with Andre? We became friends, 2000, was it 2015, 2016?
No, I did the internship in 2016.
2015.
Yep,
2016, for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years strong.
It's going good, man. It's going good.
And we would talk football. The funny thing is how we got to know each other is I would be like, there would be the beat writers around, and then I'd be like, Dre would be coaching, and I'd be like, hey, Dre, come here. I want to talk to you about this. And I had some facts about defense. I'm like, what are you guys doing over here?
Yeah. And I told you shut up.
Right? I wouldn't shut up. But I was like, hey, what's going on over here? What's going on? Because I want to know, right?
Yeah.
And so when you were working on the sidelines on the 3-4 outside linebackers, right? Remember, you were working with Aaron Lynch, you're transitioning.
My Brooks and all that boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I have video footage still up.
Oh, nice.
Till this day, I was just like, man. And then we started talking football. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then we just started talking from that point on. It was me, you, and Paris Harrelson.
Yeah, P-Town. Oh, P-Town, yeah.
And so the three of us would just be like talking. And like that was basically my thing was like I wanted to know and give the 49er fan base, the BEASTwriter family, I wanted to give them the insight exactly what was going on because I saw talent in you that no one else saw. Really, no one else was giving you love. But I saw something. I was like, dude, they're teaching. Aaron would vouch for this because I was good friends with Aaron Lynch. You taught him some things that he used for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I was glad.
Come on, bro. You know what's going on, bro. But
that's all at the end of the day, that's all I really care about was just like I said, my style of coaching is this. I said, I'm basically giving back what was given to me and giving back that wasn't given.
Right.
Give back what was not given to me.
Yep.
And so I always tell my players, I coach them as if it's my last day in the office with them. And so it's just, years of history as a former player, years of history of just being with the lead coaches. And like I said, at the end of the day, technique kills. And so I'm just trying to help them discover who they are. So no matter what happens, no matter how many coaches they have the foundations of what it takes to be a good player.
Dre, so we're going to talk about your dad for a little bit. Reuben Carter is your father. He played for the Denver Broncos. He's really well known. Obviously, you get his talent.
Yeah, something. I got something.
So I have a question for you. What's the single most important thing that you learned from him that you can take on to your grave in terms of teaching the NFL game to some, or not the NFL game, but just teaching the players that you're coaching?
All right. Well, I told this. I said this. One thing I learned from him. Obviously he played in a different era, but it was a tough era. From 75 to 86. He talking about playing 6 preseason games and they had the post and chops and every little dirty thing that they could do. Work ethic, and work ethic is, I'm not, it could be a broad word. But as I got older in my career and I was just hardening my body and conditioning, I just always told myself, it came to a point, I think that was probably about a year after I got, moved on from 49ers and went to 2006. That's when I kind of really discovered who I was. And one thing I learned, I was like, no matter what happens, I will not allow nobody to outwork me.
Yeah.
And that was in conditioning and that was in practice and even in games. I was a man in games, and to the point of like, I ain't coming out of the game. You couldn't get me out of the game. And
yeah.
It had a little miles on my legs, old Betty. It had a little miles on old Betty. But I just said this, you ain't gonna get me out. And so I put myself mentally in that place to where I could just keep going and keep going and keep growing and keep going. And 4th quarter, that's where I got you. And hey, I won some, I lost some, but that was just it was just a mindset. But now as I coach, it's kind of the same thing. I was like, you ain't gonna outwork me. So I put my do some hand stuff. My players try to challenge me and try to wrestle me. I'm like, I got you. Let's try. So coach still got it. Coach still move now. But that's just that competition in me. You're still a competitor. Mentally as well as physically.
So I have a next question for you. Who was the toughest?
Walter Jones.
That was the toughest offensive lineman you faced?
Oh, Walter Jones.
Walter Jones.
Respect to Walter Jones. Hot
wow.
Damn. That boy.
And
I say this. I think they got 2 or 3 sacks off of him. And one I say one was legit. One was definitely legit out of the 5-year career. All right. And one, I remember vaguely, I think I was a rookie where I think I did a chop rip and I basically lost my feet and I heel hooked Hasselback to where he went on the ground. Walter was mad. And after that, he shut me down. And then another one was just an effort sack. That was just like, nah, I'm not that one. But he was just so technical. And then for West Coast offense, he was just smart to where he knew where to be, how to be, hand placement, footwork. So he just like he had the playbook already mapped down his brain. And so it was very hard to feel him out, get a move. And if you got your chest, oof, he basically punched you out the club. But he was by far one of the elite players. And then I played against, it was one time, but Jonathan Ogden, 90-inch wingspan, 6 foot, whatever. I was like, hot dang. I was like, you can't get nothing on this dude. He was just a big monster. But those 2 guys. Now I played against Orlando Pace at the time when it was prime, but I ain't being biased, but he is my boy. Shout out to my boy Derek Diese. I love Derek Diese. Diese, and that is not me being biased. He was undersized, but he was tough as nails. Yeah. And I enjoyed every moment practicing against him. He really made me fundamentally sound at times, and I miss that competitive nature when obviously teams are going to move forward, but I really enjoyed Derek Diese because he knew he was undersized, but he was a technician by trade, but he had a long career.
He did.
Good footwork, fundamentally, mechanically, but just tough and just knew football. And so he really helped me, my first, the good years that I had really, got me to where I needed to be. But I definitely missed him when 49ers moved on from him.
Interesting that you mentioned Derek Diese, number 63, right? If I remember.
Yep, 63.
He was undersized. Wasn't he a guard?
Yep.
And then kicked out to tackle, or was he guard all the time?
No, I think you know what? Yes, she could probably kill me. I think from what I recall, I think he always played tackle, but
he always played tackle.
Yeah. I hope that's the right information.
You're probably right. You're probably right. You would know. You went up against him.
I might. Well, yeah. I mean, the time I was there, he was a tackle. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Derek Diese was undersized.
Yes. Yeah. But he was. I tell you what. Hey man, he knew football. He knew football.
He was good.
He was real good.
Brandy Lewis from the BEASTwriter family has a question for you. She says, Mr. Carter, my high school principal told me I would never amount to much. I harnessed that negativity and obtained 2 degrees. Brandy, congratulations and mahalo to you. What type of negativity have you dealt with and how did it go?
Oh. I mean, I have the negativity from my athlete's perspective. You're always going to get rid of, nitpicked and, looked at and undermined. I mean, I was a DN, but I had more of a linebacker frame and but playing defensive line, I mean, it was just in my blood. And people thought I was undersized. And I think my saving grace was just having a good work ethic. And obviously you end up having 2 degrees and you end up having work ethic. So I think work ethic trumps all the negativity. If you ignore the noise, which it is, you'll be good. But if you continue to focus on what people say, then they won. So don't give them any chance to win and get in your head.
Good advice. Good advice. So now let's go ahead and transition to the last part of this podcast. We're going to talk about you. Obviously, we talked about your coaching days in the NFL with the internship with the 49ers and then went on with the Jets, the Dolphins before that. And now you're with LSU, my rival. I'm a huge Roll Tide fan, but I got your back.
It's all good.
I got your back, bro. I'm going to be sporting LSU gear. You know that. I always got your back. So when they play, I'll be rooting for LSU, even though I'm a Roll Tide fan. I got you. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the players, though, Dre.
Yes.
I want to know some of the guys that you like and who you are most proud of and who you think has the most potential to be NFL elite players at this point in their careers.
Well, it's still young, but from what I've seen, and I'll definitely start with my seniors. And I do have a young class. I mean, I have more of a young class than an old class, but the seniors that I have, Glenn Logan, Neil Farrell, two defensive tackles that have a chance to hopefully play on Sunday. Upper body wise, strong, can hold the point of attack, create extension, create leverage. Their ability to collapse the pocket has been really good. Andre Anthony, he's coming into his last year. Expecting good things for him. Definitely when it comes to the edge, especially against tight ends, he's able to create leverage and separation. Continue to improve on his pass rush. Then Ollie Gay, aesthetically, he's a leaner left end, but in time he has probably the potential to add more size. I mean, you just kind of see it.
Yeah,
he still hasn't grown into his body yet.
Yes.
But those are basically my 4 seniors, and then obviously we got BJ Ojolari. He's from Georgia.
Talk about him. I like him.
Yes, yeah. Well, his brother is supposed to be drafted pretty high. So I always mess with him and say, "Well, hey, buddy, hey man, you better step the game up there." Just like that. He started laughing, but no, BJ's just a good fundamentally sound pass rusher, and they had a decent spring, especially with the new scheme. And then Joe Evans, our interior defensive tackle. He is going to his second year. Smart player. Basically can play three technique and play nose. Two-dimensional player.
Wow.
Can rush the passer. So, as a matter of fact,
three technique and the nose tag. So he's not scheme dependent then. He's scheme universal. Okay.
Very virtual. And one thing is crazy was I played with his one of his family members, Demetric Evans. I played with up at Washington Redskins. So I'll say, hey man, your boy's acting up, but I always mess with him. But he's actually doing good. I'm proud of him. AB student. So and then obviously we got it'll be interesting to see kind of with all the freshmen that are coming in, and we unfortunately have some guys nicked up, but overall, especially when it comes to senior class, hopefully they have a chance. They have a chance. At the end of the day, I can't really say what round or anything like that.
Yeah.
They have a chance. They have a chance to play football. But I always told them this, like, yeah, you're seniors, and obviously I know you got a lot on your plate, but just play football and just listen to me. I'm just trying to help you. And at the end of the day, obviously, we know what our goals are. And I want the seniors as well as everybody, but definitely seniors because it's their last year. Hey, we want to finish on a winning note. That's what's important.
Those are great words. Now, for you being the new defensive line coach of LSU and being under Coach O, what it's like being Coach O? I feel like that guy just yells at the top of his lungs. He has no voice at any given point of any game.
Yeah.
How is it? It's very high intense. One, I did some research. I was watching some LSU practices. They're very intense. They're very on the go. You're sweating bullets, bro. Like you're burning like 1,000, 2,000 calories.
Yeah, I'm burning, man. That's why I like to eat. So it works out. it works out good. No, I tell you what. Well, the story actually between me and Coach O, we actually we have some history in the past. He was actually trying to recruit me when he was at USC, and I decided to go to Cal. And he asked me what happened. I was like, talk to Pops. Pops didn't want me to go to USC. So that was the end of that story. But no, I tell you what, he's intense, and obviously he's a D-line coach by trade. I mean, that's just kind of his passion, but. For him to hire me to be a defensive line coach, that's big because, especially when you're a coach that's been in the D line for such a long period of time, it's kind of hard to it's like, that's your baby. You don't want to let your baby go. It's like, but look, I'm going to take care of your baby. But I always say, hey, you're always welcome in the room because I get it. But that's his passion. He got pride and passion and love for the defensive line. And just like I do, so it's a fair trade, and I'm just happy to be there. Obviously, there's a lot of history at LSU, and I've always talked to the D line about tradition and what it means to play there. And if you walk in our room, you see plaques of guys being drafted and the SEC honors and All-American honors. I'll say, hey guys, especially when it comes to seniors and the young guys, I say, hey. Have more aspirations than just being drafted.
Right.
When you get these honors, I mean, these things last forever. These things, people may not know who you are, 10, 15, 20 years from now, but at least when you come back and visit and say, hey, look, I did that.
Right.
So I encourage them to aim more than just being drafted. Be respected and earn your respect, in the SEC. So that's one thing I've encouraged my guys because it's a good honor to have.
And man, I'm looking for big things for you. Again, I'm a huge LSU fan now because you're coaching LSU. That's the only reason I'm cheering for you guys.
Thank
Damn
you,
it, Gray. But I always got your back. We're gonna finish this off, bro, with a BEASTwriter 2-minute drill. Basically, I'm going to give your either or. You give me an answer and then tell me why.
Okay.
All right. So this is how we're going to end the show. It's called the BEASTwriter 2-minute drill. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll give you the words.
All right. Let's rock and roll.
All right, so here we go. Getting to know Andre and the BEASTwriter 2-minute drill, and we are off. Pizza or burgers?
Pizza, because I've been stopping on the red meat. So pizza is my thing now. If it's spiced up and sizzled up, I can eat pizza. I'm a pizza guy.
All right, lobster tail or crab?
Ooh, lobster tail, because lobster tail can always go with a good steak. But then, like I said, I don't eat red meat.
This guy, dude. Come on, be serious, Dre. I know you laid off the red meat. I can't believe you did that. Every time we try to go out, and we still have to get together when you're back in town, when I visit in Louisiana. Someone asked us who can eat more, me or you. I'm gonna say it's you.
I can put food away.
I know you can.
Yeah.
I know you can.
I can eat. Like I said, that's why I work out the way I do, because I love to eat.
All right.
I can't help it, so it's all good.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Always been a dog lover. Never had a cat. I had a German Shepherd and a Cocker Spaniel. I had a few foo-foo dogs in my life, so the little foo-foo dogs. Don't judge me.
No, you're good. All right. Pancakes or waffles?
Oh, pancakes, guys. Always been a pancake.
What?
Ever since I was a kid, my mom, my dad, grandma, grandparents always made me pancakes. So that's all been my upbringing.
All right. Netflix or Disney Plus?
Don't have Disney Plus. So
what?
I don't. I just never got into it.
Bro, you gotta get Disney.
And maybe because I just never had an interest in ordering it. But Netflix been around forever. So, but I've heard there've been some good shows on there. So I might have to check you out on that.
Bro, I'll let you know what's up. Like you're gonna like Disney Plus, but I like Netflix. Obviously, Netflix trumps, but Disney Plus is on the rise. I'm telling you, Disney Plus is on the rise.
Seems like. Yeah, this is like a lot of shows and series have been coming out lately. So
it's legit.
I got people.
Okay, Apple or Android?
Oh, Apple, man. And ever since you talking about a dude that had the first iPod, I went from a CD player, having my CD player. Let you know how old I am. Damn, that's messed up. Having the CD player, bunch of 10 CDs stacked up, free game. And then I remember Brian Young was like, Dre, you need to get an iPod. I'm like, iPod, what's that? So yeah, I Apple till I die.
I remember you used to hold on to the seat. I used to watch you. You used to hold on to it while you're doing the stretches. In your head while you're doing with the cord.
Oh yeah.
And your white sleeved shirt.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, bro?
Oh yeah. Those fun times, man.
Oh shoot. That's good times. All right. Here, zip up or pull over hoodie?
Pull over hoodie. I love the old Nike stuff. Can't go wrong with that one.
Pepsi or Coke?
Oh, Coke. I'm a Coke guy. I like Coke.
All right, you're like me. Okay. Yeah. Last but not least, scary movie or funny movie?
Funny movie. I don't do scary movies. I don't watch The Conjuring. I don't watch Friday the 13th. I don't watch The Ring. I don't watch none of that. The last Home on the Hill, all that crap. I don't mess with that stuff, man. My friends always mess with me. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't do scary movies. I'm soft. I don't either.
I don't either, dude.
Yeah.
They wouldn't call us soft in the gym, bro. Yeah. They wouldn't call us soft in the gym, but they can call us soft in other ways.
The last Exorcist, Emily Rose. I'm like, dude, I don't want to see somebody get depossessed. Like, I ain't trying to watch that crap. I ain't going with that stuff.
Well, all right, Andre, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the BEASTwriter family. We really appreciate it. You've been in my corner from day one, and I can't thank you enough, man. Mahalo.
Thank you,
really honored to have you on here again, guys. Everyone was excited to have you on. Comments are ridiculous here. There's still more comments rolling through. People are laughing about you saying the scary movies. People don't watch scary movies.
I don't do it, man. I'm soft. SOFT soft. I don't do scary movies.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, look, I got time for more questions. Any other questions that come up, you scan them, man. I ain't doing that.
All right. People are saying it's funny because they're all the scary movies. I think that's pretty much it. I think we're pretty much wrapped it up, dude.
Okay, no problem.
But yeah, no, thank you so much for hopping on the show, my man. Man, this is awesome, Dre. I mean, you gave some great insight. I'm really happy for you at LSU. Again, from all my heart, man. You're gonna do big, like, dude. LSU got a steal of a coach.
Oh man, no shit. I tell you what. To be honest, when unfortunately when I got let go by the Jets, and I did an interview with the Cincinnati Bengals. Fortunately, it didn't work out. But the defense coordinator, Donte Jones, who I ended up working with Miami, he asked me if I wanted to coach D-line, and he set up an interview for me, and that was it. And for me, like I said, I always say this as a former player. I just want to win games. I mean, that's it. On set hut. Let's play football, and let's not complicate the game. Let's just put our best players out there, best foot forward. Win the technique, win for each other, and let's just win some games. That's all I care about at the end of the day. That's it. I've always told my players this: it ain't about me. It's about y'all. It ain't about egos. I told my guys this. I said, I'm not here to make a name. I said, it ain't about that. I said, I'm here to make y'all better. I said, I did my plan. My plan days are done. Like them days are good. I ain't come back here to look good. I'll come here to make y'all look good. Yeah. And as long as y'all successful, I can put my head on a pillow at night and sleep and know I did the best I could.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's all you can ask for. And really, like I said, though, you're so humble, and I feel like that's one thing that I can honestly say. There's a lot of people out there who aren't like who. Let's just put it this way: people in your position are not humble more times than not.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping 100, and you know this. You've lived it your whole life. You know what's going on,
right?
And there's a lot of politics at play in whatever, right? Whether it be coaching, whether it be playing, whether it be. I mean,
anything, politics, there's politics extend in every, facets of life, and you learn it and you grow from it and, all that stuff, man. Trust me, I'm humble, but, I could be a butthead. We all got our moments.
Yeah, but politics plays negatively.
Yes.
In a sense, like, well, shoot. There's certain players that are on the freaking 49ers practice squad that should be on the active roster.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Hey,
let's keep it 100.
Hopefully those dudes they just give them this shot.
They get this shot. All right, man. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, man. I really appreciate the love and for hopping on the show. We're really honored to have you in the BEASTwriter family. We're gonna touch base with you probably, obviously after the year's over.
How I'm in next season or in the off season, man. I'm good. Just we'll communicate and
there you go.
Talk about the year and. Shoot, just kind of going from there, man. I'm good with it. We can make this a yearly thing.
There you go. And during the year, I'm going to be texting you, being like, "Dude, you're killing it."
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
All right, my man.
All right, man. Good catching up, and shout out to the Bay Area. Hey, man, miss the Bay. I'll tell my boy here, like Bay has always had a lot of good memories, and so it's been a while since I've gone back. Hopefully, have a chance to take a quick trip out there. Probably not now, just COVID.
No, you can't right now. I'm saying, hey,
recruiting and all that stuff. I'm grinding right now, but post COVID, I definitely bring my family out there because there was a lot of fun stuff, and definitely love to show my son, Oak Grove High School where it all began, Berkeley and all that stuff, man. So,
by the way, there's a lot of people here who obviously knew you from Oak Grove and be like, dude, that guy was a monster. You have an Andre Carter in the show. Legit, you're a legend, bro.
Oh man, it was like,
shut up. You're a legend, and you know it.
Hey man, I'm just saying, Old Betty here, man. All I got is me, myself, and Old Betty.
All right, my man. Well, take care, and I'll touch base with you soon, my man.
All right, bro. Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, mahalo. All right, that was Andre Carter, guys, and that will conclude the show for today. I hope you guys had what we'd like to say. I want to go ahead and break it down. We're going to talk about some 2021 NFL draft picks as it pertains to the NFL draft. Andre was too busy, obviously, during the year with spring football with LSU, so he really was tied up in that. So I'm going to go ahead and touch base on some of the questions that you guys had. Let me just scroll back and go over some of those questions as it pertains to the 2021 NFL draft. So again, thank you everyone for your super chats, your generosity, and your super stickers. Really appreciate the love. Fernand's Ultimate Report says, talk football plus BEASTwriter plus second show plus guest equals BEASTwriter family all. Fernand's Ultimate Report, thank you so much for tuning in as always. Hopping on the live stream. That's always fun times. And again, Good vibes in here only. So again, very honored to have all you guys hop onto the BEASTwriter Family show. Again, spread the word to all your family and friends. We're running fun, cool giveaways for everyone who does. And again, this was a really great show. Let's see. Do we have any more other questions? We do. Joe Figueroa says, yo, I'm Beast. I'm counting on that. That's Trey Lance. That is our pick. Trey Lance. What do you guys think about Trey Lance? You guys want Trey Lance? I don't know. I want Trey Lance if it's not Justin Fields, but I do not want Mac Jones. So I said that in an earlier live stream. But I think that's going to conclude this podcast. I think we're pretty much wrapping this up. Again, thank you so much. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. This was an excellent success for another live stream with a former 49ers player. We're going to have more 49ers players in the books coming up, so stay tuned for that. And be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night. BEASTwriter is out.